Good afternoon, dear students. In the last lecture, we have discussed about endogenous variables and exogenous variables, and we have shown that how changes in exogenous variables affect endogenous variables by considering the demand and supply market for new cars. Now, in this lecture, I am going to cover the new topic, which is title is a multitude of models. After that, I will discuss about prices, about sticky prices, about flexible prices, and why these prices are important in the economic analysis. But first, let me start my lecture from the topic a multitude of models. As we know that no one model can address all the issues we care about. While we are constructing an economic model, so there is no model which address all the issues. It doesn't mean that in a single model will give us answers of all the questions. A single model will cover all variables. It doesn't mean that a single model will include all variables. Yes, we know that variables are very important. Different variables have different relationship with each other, but it doesn't mean that in a single model we will take all variables, or a single model will give answer to all of our questions. For example, the demand and supply model of the car market. So we have designed that model which give answer that how changes in income of the consumer affect demand and supply, demand side. Similarly, change in price of the steel, how changes in the price of steel affect the quantity supply of new car. So these were related questions which we can get answer from the demand and supply model. It means that this model can tell us how a fall in aggregate income affect price and quantity of new car. It means that how a fall or how an increase in aggregate income affect price and quantity of new car, but it cannot tell us why aggregate demand falls. In the last example, I have shown that if there is an increase in income of the consumer, his demand curve will shift towards the right, how it will affect the price and quantity. But that model is unable to give us answer about why aggregate demand falls. Okay, with the increase in income, quantity demanded of the consumer rises, but that model is unable to provide us answer that why income of the consumer falls or increase. So if we are interested that why income falls or increases, we need to construct another model. That's why I am saying that no one model can address all the issues we care about. A single model can give you some related answer to some related questions, but it doesn't mean that a single model will give you answer to all of your questions. If you are interested to find out other question, you have to build another model. So we will learn different models for studying different issues. Different models for studying different issues. For example, unemployment, inflation and long run growth. If we are interested to know about the impact of unemployment rate on the real GDP of an economy, we have to construct a model. But if we are interested to know some other macroeconomic determinants and its impact on the real GDP or any other variable, we have to construct another model. So it doesn't mean that the quantity that the demand and supply model will give you answer to all of your questions, or a specific macroeconomic model will give you answer to all of your questions. No, it means that you have to construct different models for studying different issues. For new model, you should keep track of its assumption. If you are interested to build a new model, the following points are very necessary before the construction of a model. Number 1, assumptions of the model. You must know about assumption of the model. Assumptions, we are considering assumptions in order to make the model more precise and more clear. So assumptions are the first and important step in constructing any model. The second, which variables are endogenous and which variables are exogenous in the model. You have a clear idea about the endogenous and exogenous variables. Which variables are endogenous and which variables are exogenous. So you must have a clear idea about your endogenous as well as exogenous variables. The third, the questions it can help us understand and those it cannot. The questions it can help us understand. It means that a model will give you answer to some specific questions. And similarly, on the other hand, the model is unable to give answer to all of your questions. Like the case of increase in income. If there is an increase in income, the quantity demanded will increase. But we don't know why income increases. That's why if you are interested to form or to build a new model, you must have keep in mind about 3 important points. Assumptions of the model, about the endogenous and exogenous variables, you have a clear idea about the endogenous and exogenous variables, and the third one is that the questions that can help us understand about the relationship between 2 or more than 2 variables and that specific model. Similarly, those questions it cannot give answer. So a single model is not able to give answer to all of our questions. It will give answer to a specific and related questions. Okay, now I am going to start the second important part of this chapter, which is the last topic of chapter 1, prices. As we know that we have 2 kinds of prices in macroeconomic analysis. Number first, flexible prices. Number second, sticky prices. So for the market clearing, an assumption that prices are flexible adjust to equate supply and demand. If we study the macroeconomics literature, we can find a very basic assumption that prices are flexible. If prices are flexible, then supply and demand will adjust. If there is a disequilibrium, supply and demand will bring each other to make clear the market. So for market clearing, this is the basic assumption that prices are flexible. So there will be an adjustment process between demand and supply. In the short run, many prices are sticky. If we talk about the short run, so in the short course of time or in the short period, many prices are sticky. They adjust largely in the response to changes in supply or demand. It doesn't mean that if the prices are sticky, so if there is a disequilibrium, so in the short period they will adjust themselves. No, it will take time. If the prices are sticky, so the equilibrium position that occurs from the intersection of demand and supply will be disturbed, will not be so easy as compared to the previous case. For example, many labor contracts fix the nominal wage for a year or longer. If the labor union fixes the wage rates for laborers, so they fix the wage rates for 1 year, for 2 years, maybe for 3 years, for a longer period of time. So how the demand and supply will adjust? Because in this example, nominal wages are sticky. Similarly, many magazine publishers change prices only once every 3 or 4 years. So magazine publishers change their prices after 3 years or after 4 years or maybe after 5 years. So prices are sticky. So the economy behavior depends partly on whether prices are sticky or flexible. This is the most important point, that the economy behavior, the economy performance depends partly on whether prices are flexible or prices are sticky. If prices are sticky, then demand would not always equal supply. Then demand would not always equal supply. This helps explain, for example, unemployment, where we have excess supply of labor as compared to demand for labor. Similarly, why firms cannot always sell all the goods they produce? Why firms are unable to sell all the goods into the market they produce? That's why if prices are sticky, then demand would not always equal supply. However, in the long run, prices are flexible. In the long run, prices are flexible. If prices are flexible, it means that markets will be clear and the economy will behave very differently. That's why we are saying that if we are analyzing the behavior of an economy, so we must take care of the assumption that prices either are sticky or flexible. In the long run, prices are flexible, but in the short run, prices are sticky. If prices are sticky, there will be no equilibrium between demand and supply. However, in the long run, prices are flexible, markets always clear, and the economy behaves differently. How we will use about the flexible, how we will use the flexible prices as well as the sticky prices in our analysis. So in the coming chapters, I will try to throw light on all these issues, that how sticky prices and how flexible prices affect the economic performance or the economic behavior of an economy. So in a very detail, we will discuss all these issues. Thank you so much.